All right, I'm going to record this and I'll post it like usual. There we go. Okay, so write the partial fraction decomposition. Okay, so here's the rational expression they're going to give you. Okay. You guys see this? This pen's a little light. Is it readable? Okay. All right, so first step, right? We said we need a fact at the bottom and then decide which case we have. So we've done this quite a few times, but in case you forgot, here we go. So factor this guy, the best technique would be trial and error. And we're going to use, one of them has to be negative since the last term is negative. So I'm going to use x plus 1, x minus 6. So negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. If you add them together, you get negative 5. So that works. These are distinct. Therefore, you'll use case 1 on that note sheet I gave you. It'll be a over x plus 1 plus b over x minus 6, right? So then we start by just multiplying both sides by the denominator and getting rid of all your fractions. So let's go ahead and start writing it over here. So I'm going to cancel this fraction. And remember I said this is the week 5, so 4 weeks ago I said, every single time you'll multiply it by this bottom part on the left side, this denominator. For these types of questions, it will always be these guys. Okay. That's always the LCD here. Okay, so multiply both sides by this LCD on the first term. And then the other side, we'll do it to both terms. Same thing over here, x plus 1, x minus 6. Okay. So these will cancel everything, leaving you with 2x minus 5 equal to, right, these all cancel here. One of these will cancel, leaving you with x minus 6 times a. X minus 6 will cancel, leaving you with x plus 1 times b. On this type of question, the Heaviside method would be best, but you could still do the longer version that works every time. I'm going to go with the longer one since I'm sure you're familiar with the Heaviside at this point. And if you want to see both, just let me know. We'll do that after this. So just tell me. So I'm going to distribute. That'll give me ax minus 6a. Distribute, that gives me bx plus b. Then you group the like terms and create your system, right? And then you can solve that system with a calculator or whatever, doesn't matter. Ax plus bx minus 6a plus b. So I have my x and my constants. So the system will be created by equating these x coefficients with this x coefficient, these constants with that constant. So you have a plus b for the x guys, and negative 6a plus, oops, put 2 negatives. Okay, negative 6a plus b. So this will be equal to, well, you know what? I don't like the way that looks, but let's just write it this way. So these are coming from the x terms. I'm going to skip one small step. So this a and b will be equated to the constant, or the coefficient 2 from this x. These constants will be equated to the constant negative 5. Now, if you want to create a matrix, you can, but you don't have to. You can do elimination if you want. It'd be 1, 1, 2, negative 6, 1, negative 5. If you want to do elimination, these b's are the same, so just switch these signs here, because you can multiply both sides by a negative, right? And switch that equation, because all the equation rules still apply. So if I multiply by negative, this would give me positive 6 minus b equal to positive 5. So then you can just add them together, giving you 7a, no more b's, and a constant 7. So a will be equal to 1. If you want to use your matrix solver, that's fine too. If you want to do substitution, that's also fine. It doesn't really matter. If you want to do the Heaviside for this easy type of question, that's okay too. Okay, so we got a. If a plus b is 2 and a is 1, there's only one answer, right? B has to be 1. Okay, so then the answer will be 1 over x plus 1 plus 1 over x minus 6. And I smeared all that. Sorry about that. Are there any steps that did not make sense? Did you want to see the Heaviside method, or is that fine? Okay, assuming you guys are good then.
Yeah, we can go ahead and see the Heaviside method also.
Okay, let's do it. So we'll call this method equate coefficients. Right, so method over here will be you Heaviside. Just some guy's name. That's all that means. So the Heaviside would begin right here. So when you get to this point, you do not expand, and you do not have to create the system. You will just choose an x that will help you out, right? And you want to choose x that will zero things out. So I'm going to choose a 6 and a negative 1, right? So I'm going to do it twice. So for the first step, let x equal negative 1. So you plug in negative 1 everywhere, and you're going to get, actually let me write this over here to make space. So let x equal to negative 1. That would give us 2 times negative 1 minus 5 equal to negative 1 minus 6 times your a plus negative 1 plus 1, which is the 0 I'm trying to create, right? Because once I eliminate a variable, I have one equation and one unknown, which allows us to solve, right? So we get negative 2 minus 5 equal to negative 7a plus 0. So this is negative 7 equal to negative 7a, and as we found before, this implies that a is equal to 1. Okay. So then we do it again. Let x equal to positive 6. So this is going to zero out this time. So 2 times 6 minus 5 is equal to 6 minus 6 times a, plus, that will be 6 plus 1 times b, giving us 12 minus 5 equal to 0 plus 7b. This becomes 7, right? Equal to 7b, implying that b is also 1. So this would be the Heaviside. You choose the x's that will help you, and you will eliminate a variable or two at a time. But when you have like A, B, C, D, E or something, Heaviside becomes a real pain and will be the harder method. When you have like A, B, C, or maybe A, B, C, D, depending what it is, this might still be good. But for sure, when you have two of them, I will probably always go with this method. But once you start getting to C and D, you might want to start considering the original method. But again, it's all situational. Is there any steps that don't make sense or I lost you at somewhere? If I went too fast or if you fell asleep, let me know. It's all good. Okay. All right, then let me show you. Oh shoot, there's a question here. How many cases were there? There was about 5, I think, because there was one case where, so there was the, oops, close that thing. There was a case 1 was the one we just did for distinct factors. Then there was one for repeated factors. Then there was factors that don't reduce, so like you can't factor it. Then there was combinations of 1 and 2, or 1, 2, and 3, which was case 4. And then case 5 was the one you had to do long division. So whenever the power on top was too big, you would divide. So if power on top is bigger, that's when you have to do long division. But most of the time, that doesn't come out too often, but those were the 5 cases. Okay, now let's keep going here. Let me show you. All right, so the first couple of questions, can you guys see the review thing? Or no, did I? Think I tried it again. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So the first one's the one we just did. The next one is the same kind of deal, except I believe one of them will be irreducible. Let's see here. Let's do, this one might be, the first 2 are easier. Let's do the harder one, third one. So we can try to get more done today, because there's a lot of, like 20 questions. Okay. This is the third one. Same deal. Write the partial fraction decomposition. Okay. (13x plus 2 over x cubed minus 1. So right away we should notice that is a difference of cubes, right? In case you forgot, I sometimes forget too. The difference of cubes formula is equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So we have a something cubed minus something cubed, right? Because you can rewrite that at 1 as a 1 cubed. So I'll show that step. This is x cubed minus 1 cubed. So the formula is the a and b cubed.
I didn't leave it intentionally.
Sorry, is there a question?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, you're good. So see how it's the a and b are already cubed, so that means they rewrote it. So these are the a's and b's. So here's a squared plus ab, which is x times 1, right? Plus b squared, which is still 1 squared. So there's the factorization using our formula. This will not factor any further because there's no factor of 1 that adds up to 1. That doesn't make sense. That's not going to happen, right? So this would be considered irreducible, which I think was case 3. So this is when the whole ax plus b stuff starts happening. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it over here. So you have the space. X minus 1 times x squared plus x plus 1. Okay. So the first term is just a linear factor, right? It's also distinct because it doesn't repeat. So you're just going to put an a on it. That's it. The next part will have to be bx plus c because I already used the a. So this is case 1. That's case 3 at the same time, right? Okay, so again, you're going to multiply both sides by this LCD. So I'm going to skip a small step because this always happens. The left side will be left with only the top, right? And then you're going to multiply x minus 1. Remember, it's both sides. I just didn't write it. I hope that doesn't bother you. Just for the sake of space. This times this guy. This times the second one. So here we'd be left with 13x plus 2 equal to x squared plus x plus 1 times your a, right? Because x minus 1 is going to cancel. This guy will cancel the trinomial there, so you'll be left with x minus 1 times bx plus c. Okay. I do not, well, maybe. Trying to see if Heaviside would actually work here. Like before you decide a tip, I guess, is just think about like, is there an x that I can choose to get rid of this to get a, and then can I pick another x to get rid of just the b and solve for c? And once I have both, then I can choose whatever to find b, right? Or however you decide to go. And it looks like on this one you could. Although honestly, I think both methods look about the same in difficulty on this question. So it wouldn't matter how you chose to do it. Usually one or the other is easier or harder, but not this one. Because I'm going to have to do it 3 times using Heaviside, where if I use the other method, I can create the system by just multiplying this out. So I'm going to go with the traditional regular method here, equating the coefficients. So to multiply it out, that'll give me ax squared plus ax plus a. This will have to be a FOIL, which will be bx squared minus bx plus cx minus c. Group everything that is the same and create the system. So quadratic, x term, x term, x term, constant, constant. There is no b constant. Okay. All right, so here we go. There's 2 quadratics, so a plus b is equal to 0 because there is no quadratic term over here, right? A minus b plus c is equal to 13 because there is a 13x. These are all the x terms, right? These guys are all grouped together. Now the constants, a minus c is equal to the only constant. And then we can start solving. Elimination on this one would not be easy. Matrix would be best. I'm not saying you couldn't do it. I just do not recommend it. So the first column will be A's. Second column will be the B's. Third column will be the C's. Last augmented column is the constants, right? I'm going to use the calculator this time. But again, I showed you, you can use the online solvers or you can use your graphing calculator. The scientific calculators, the one I think recommended can only do 3 by 3, I think. So this one would be too big. This would be 3 by 4, right? 3 rows by 4 columns. Row by column. 3 by 4. So 1, 1, 0, 0. 1, negative 1, 1, 13. 1, 0, 1, 2. So once you've entered it inside the matrix menu, right? Second matrix gets you there. Go to edit to create it. Once it is created, you go to math to find the row reduced echelon form, RREF. That's all from college algebra, right? So RREF, and then go back into that menu and choose the one you made. So the answer, A is 11, B is negative 11, C is negative 9. Okay, so I'm gonna smudge it again like always. So our answer will be 11 over that original x minus 1 plus 11 negative 11x minus 9 over all this quadratic stuff here. Okay, yeah, so 11, negative 11, negative 9. Now, is there many steps along the way that did I lost you at, or did it make sense? It's okay then. I went a little faster because we've done this before, but if I lost you somewhere, it's no big deal, let me know. All right, one moment. So once we correct the mistake, where's that question? Way too many tabs open. The answer would be D.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks for asking, because I almost missed it. So that would be 5 here, and then you'd have -5 plus 3. There we go. Okay. Okay. I do not know if there's a long division. I don't see one on the review. I want to say no, but I'd have to check. Okay. Let's move on to something else. Okay, so I think we can just do these really quick, unless you're opposed to it. This is just convert from degrees to radians. This is radians to degrees. I think we'll just keep going. You guys okay if I skip this? Okay. Let's start here.
What number is the one we're about to do?
7, 8. We are on 8. Probably worse. Well, I think it might fit there. Okay. So I'm gonna skip the words just to save time. So it says an object is traveling around a circle with a radius of 10 centimeters. So R is 10 centimeters. Okay. And they say if in 20 seconds, a central angle of 1/3 radians is swept out, what is the linear speed of the object? So in 20 seconds, the time is 20 seconds. The angle theta, they said, is 1/3 radian. So we have everything we need. It's already in radians. So now we just need the linear speed formula. I do not have memorized. I think it's V equal to, let's see, double check. Yeah, R times omega, which is radius times angular speed. One moment. I don't trust me. So angular speed will be radius divided by time. So right here, this guy is R over T. Then times the angle. I think that's a better way to say it. Yeah, I don't like the way the book said it. I'm choose this. Yeah, sorry. I was thinking way too hard about this. It got too messy. That's what happens when you think you have the whole book memorized and you don't. All right. So this is going to be linear speed. Is what they want, which is equal to r over t times theta. Let's just keep it simple. That would be 10 centimeters divided by 20 seconds times 1/3. So your answer would be 1/6 centimeters per second, which is answer B. I think that makes more sense. You guys okay with number 8?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's go on to the next one, number 9. So two sides of a right triangle ABC. C, parentheses here, is the right angle. So all these are given. Find the indicated triangle indicated, not triangle, trigonometric function. Let's fix that. Indicated trig function. Of the given angle. Now, you don't have to write the question. The question will be on the test, right? I'm just writing it so we can refer to it. But it's up to you. All right, so they're going to say find secant b. And they tell us that little a is equal to 2, and little b is 5. So let's just build our triangle so you can know what the heck they're talking about. So we know this is going to be the right angle C. And we're given two sides. Okay. So we'll call this guy 2, and this one, A and B, 2 and 5. So we just need to find that other side. Before we do that, what is secant in terms of other trig functions?
Secant
1 over cosine.
Yeah, so secant B is 1 over cosine B, right? Will probably help. Now this is A, right? So I'm going to call this angle capital A, and this angle capital B. Now let's find the hypotenuse Let's see how this works out. So we know that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, which implies that 5 squared plus 2 squared is equal to c squared. So then that means that c is equal to the square root of all this nonsense, right? $29 does not reduce. Okay, so there it is, 29. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So if this is b, then adjacent would be 2 over that guy, but we have to take the reciprocal. So this would be hypotenuse over adjacent, right? Which would give us root 29 over 2. So that would be our answer. But there is no picture of a triangle on the question.
On the initial a squared plus b squared, you mixed up the 5 for a and the 2 for b. I don't know if that's anything.
It doesn't matter, but we should be, what's the word, proper. But thanks, just in case. It's good to let me know if you see something that's off. Okay. Guys have any questions on this problem here? Okay. Let's keep going then. This one's 10. Given tangent theta equal to 3, find sine theta. Okay. So I just need to remember, right, what the hell is tangent? Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So that would be 3 over 1, right? So we have, so let's put theta here. Doesn't matter where you put it. You just need to remain consistent once you choose a spot. So opposite, adjacent. Hypotenuse would be 1 squared plus 3 squared equal to c squared. So that would mean that c is equal to 1 plus 9, right? So root 10. So then at that
Did you
point,
reduce that?
we cannot, because that is the only factors are 2 and 5, right?
Yeah.
But we should always check.
But you would if you did, correct? You
Yeah,
would if
we
you could.
should. We should.
Okay.
An easy way to check is just go through the squared numbers like 4, 9, 16. But once you pass 10, you know that's too big, right? 4 and 9 do not go into 10, so we know that we're safe. So sine of theta will be opposite, right? Over hypotenuse. In the question, though, they do not leave the square root in the bottom. The answer is C, but they go a step further and they rationalize by multiplying by root 10, giving us 3 root 10 over 10. You guys remember how to rationalize? Is there any questions on this problem or steps here that are confusing?
No.
All right. So let me know at any point. 10, that was 10. 11 is just find tangent of pi 6. There's nothing really to do there. Although it's 7 o'clock, let's take a small break. Let's come back at about 7:15.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is
So it's 10 feet from the top, the guy wire is attached. So guy wire is just a wire attached to a tower all the way to the ground. So here is my ground here. I don't know how long the guy wire is, that's what they're asking, but I know that it's 10 feet from the top. So that should be 220 feet. And the angle from the ground, this is top, yeah, 33 degrees from the ground. So we just need to find the hypotenuse. We're missing a side, so we have to use our trig functions to help us out. Since we have the opposite side, we should probably use sine. Okay. So I'm going to do sine of 33 equal to the opposite side, 220 feet, over the hypotenuse. And then just solve for hypotenuse, right? Because remember, sine theta definition is the opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so then I'm gonna take a reciprocal of both sides, or you can do cross multiplication, whatever. So this would be, I multiply it over here. I'll show some steps. Divide by sine. Hypotenuse is equal to 220 divided by sine of 33 degrees. So that is approximately something 403.9 feet. Yeah. Is there any questions on how we set that up and how we got here? This is the answer. Answer is A. Okay. All right then. Let's go on the next one. So that was not too bad, I hope. Next one is 13. So let's find the exact value. Of the indicated trig function. Of theta. So tangent of theta is equal to negative 2/5, and they tell us that theta is in quadrant, this is all given in the question, quadrant 2.
You move it up a little bit.
Here we
Thank
go.
you.
Find cosine theta. Okay. So we know that cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, right? We know tangent is opposite over adjacent, which is negative. Well, before we decide where the negative goes, quadrant 2 that has a negative x and a negative y, right? So cosine would be negative there. So let's write this in a different way. I'll still write this, but I want you to see something. This is still equal to cosine theta over sine theta, right? We just know that cosine will be negative in quadrant 2. So this is negative adjacent over hypotenuse over positive opposite over hypotenuse. Of course, the hypotenuse cancels, right? We don't actually ever write them, but technically they're part of it, right? So now we know that this should be negative and we find the answer. So when we're solving for the adjacent side, we will pick a negative sign for this side. And if you're in doubt, you would just figure it out with the triangle anyway. But I just wanted you to see this. So here's my triangle. I'll put theta here, I guess. Opposite over adjacent. So the adjacent side is the negative side. The cosine is going to be equal to some negative 5 over something, probably. All right, so let's figure it out. Solve for this. So that would be, bring up space here. Pythagorean theorem would be b squared, square root of these guys. So let's skip that step to save space.
Square root 29.
29, yeah, that's right. Thanks. Okay, so then 29 is down here, right? We just need to make sure we choose the negative for adjacent because of this fact. Okay. So if you were to have forgotten that sign, you just need to remember that cosine is negative there. So you'd have to tack it on here if you forgot it there. Like pretend you didn't do any of this, right? You still have to keep in mind where is sine, cosine, negative. So you could just find the pieces and just tack on the sign at the end if you want to. But then we got to rationalize. So this would be root 29 over 29, which is D. You guys have any questions on 13? Make a note. I forgot. Hypotenuse is the guy where. Hypotenuse. Because I didn't know what a guy wire was a couple years ago, so I should write a note there in case you don't either. Okay. $14 is not very interesting. $15. It's pretty easy. Let me share the screen here. So this question here, you realize how it went in the negative direction, right? So it would be the same as 0. So sine of 0 would be 0. this is just 90 degrees over and over again. So this will also be 0. So if you just figure out where they land on your circle, you're going to end up with 0. There's not much to do here. On this guy here, yeah, so the amplitude, remember we said the amplitude is always the absolute value of whatever's in front. Well, absolute value of -3 is 3, so that's our amplitude. So not much to do there either. The next question asks for period. So remember we said take the number on the x and divide that into the 2 pi. So 2 pi over that number is the period. So 2 pi over 5. Again, not much to do there. This is more, do you know the formula, right? So make sure you have the definition of the period and amplitude written down somewhere in case you forget. These questions, you just graph it on your graphing utility, either the website or your calculator, and that's pretty much it. Just pick the right answer. So these would be really easy questions since I'm allowing you to graph them. I'm not forcing you to do these by hand. Yeah, this is the same deal, just graph it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys have any questions about everything we've gone over so far? Does it seem doable? I'm hoping you all do really well on this test because it's the easiest test. So if you're gonna mess a test up, mess up one of the last ones or something. That's my advice. Because I do replace the lowest test with the score you make on the final. So please try your best on this exam.
I had a question on instructions. I know I've been kind of emailing you back and forth all day about it. So the
Sure.
3 assignments, you're getting the average and still using that as an assignment? Or